He's 40 feet away near the timeline. Now Jimmer sizing up Moss. Oh, no. Oh, yes! Oh, yes! For Jimmer.
Oh, no. Oh, yes. Jimmer Range is back. Finally, our final conference preview ahead of the 2022-2023 college basketball season. This time we're looking at the Big East. That's the 6 in the Power 6. This is the same night that we recorded our Pac-12 episode, just coming out a day later. So, Alex, has anything changed as far as your demeanor as the night has gone on?
Just the night is wearing along, and I am just as tired. I wonder if you can see like the bags under my eyes.
Yeah, we're gonna push through.
We are.
Yeah,
and the Big East. Hey, I'm not afraid to say it. The Big East is more fun to talk about than the Pac-12.
I agree. At the end of the day, we're victims of our own poor planning.
Time zones, correct.
Yeah.
We are victims of our own time zones.
Yeah. So this is really our own fault if we're tired, but we got to do it, you know?
Yeah.
The Big East has some really good teams, though, and some really fun teams to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to open with Creighton. You can open with Creighton, honestly, because you're the one who's really high. I'm high on them, I think, but I think you're higher than me.
I love Creighton so much. I don't know how many times I've explained this on various episodes. The Final Four literally ended, and I think a week later I was looking at national title odds, and Creighton was at like plus 4,000, and I immediately put $10 on them. And listen, my buddy's dad has the ticket somewhere. I have to find it. But I, as the days wear along, I am becoming ever more confident in that choice. At the very least, I think they are Final Four bound. They are one of my 4 Final Four teams. I guess I haven't said that on the pod yet.
That's a take, though.
Go Blue Jays. No, it's just there are so many good pieces to this team. Like, not only are you adding Baylor Shireman, right, which is just a top 10 portal pickup, top 5 portal pickup this summer. Arthur Kaluma is just a beast. And the leap he is going to make from last year to this year is insane. He had, granted, again, you take whatever stock you want from preseason exhibitions. He led them in scoring with 17. They had they had 6 double-digit scorers. So you have Kaluma, you have Shireman, you have Ryan Kalkbrenner back, who's healthy, right? Like, he's just an absolute unit inside defensively. He averages like 13, 7, and 3.
Potentially an All-American.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not. Literally for what he does for this team, he is in the same class of Baycott, of Dickinson, of these, right? Like, am I insane to say that? At least in his impact, right?
Yes, absolutely. No, you're not crazy for that at all.
And then Trey Alexander, we saw his emergence last year. And guess who's running the show? Ryan Nembhard. Like, what isn't to like about this team?
If you have a Nembhard at the 1, you're
golden.
Pretty.
You are golden.
You're always sitting pretty with a Nembhard.
If you have a former Montverde point guard running the show, I think you're going to be fine, unless you're the Nets.
It's true. Yeah, true. Creighton, they were good last year, but one weird thing about Creighton was, like, when I think about Creighton, I always think about Doug McDermott, and I think about Creighton being this, like, really good offensive team, and they were kind of, like, not great on offense last year. Defensively, though,
top 20,
really good on defense, and that's for a team that was, like, mostly freshmen. It was, like, really inexperienced. That's, like, crazy to be that good at defense right out the gate.
So you're telling me you're going to be that good defensively. You bring all those guys back from that unit, and then you add the offensive playmaker and shot maker that is Baylor Shireman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shooting the ball was definitely a struggle. Like, Kaluma he wasn't really stretching the floor. Trey Alexander shot under 30%. Nembhard wasn't really hitting a ton of shots. But you're bringing in, like, one of the best shot makers in the country. So those guys will probably progress a little bit, but then you have the ultimate Band-Aid in Baylor Shireman, who's going to hit anything from anywhere.
They went 10 of 25 from 3 in their scrimmage, and Trey Alexander was 3 for 4.
Yeah.
Incredibly small sample size. And the other thing I like about this team is they're going to get tested early, and we are going to know where they're at. Like, they go to Maui, you play Texas Tech, right? Yeah. And then on the second day, I assume you beat Texas Tech, you're going to play Arkansas. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there isn't a world where Arkansas loses to Louisville. If there is, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something because I've said this on the pod. And then, like, then who are you going to play on the other side, right? Like, who is on the other side of that? San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me you can play 3 top 25 teams in Texas Tech, Arkansas, and San Diego State in the span of 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That is just an otherworldly. I mean, it's just going to be an otherworldly tournament.
Yeah.
And then you play Texas.
Mhm.
Like, that is such a great 4-game stretch to test this team, and we're going to know so much about them.
Right.
But I am incredibly high on this team.
And not only did they bring in Baylor Shireman to fix this like shot making problem that they had, they also added Francisco Farabello, who shot 38% at TCU. Yeah. Is part of the reason why when we talked about TCU, we're like, they don't have any shooting.
No,
it's because he left. Yeah. But Creighton, to me, like, I understand the reasons that people aren't willing to buy in on them, though, because like that first round game against San Diego State, you can argue like they shouldn't really have won that.
Yeah.
I think they won at one point. They had like a 2% chance of winning, and they still managed to pull it out. And then they looked really good against Kansas, who ended up winning the national title.
Mm-hmm.
But they still lost. They still lost that game. And you can't like you can project guys to take a jump for sure, but can Nembhard, Alexander, and Kaluma all take a jump? Probably not. Yes. Yeah.
Can they reasonably all take? Yeah.
You think so?
You don't think they can all take a jump?
I don't know. That's like such a hard thing to project.
I get making that. They're just going to play so many minutes. They're going to be forced to, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess like this is also a team that, I mean, Ryan Hawkins was at times their best player last year.
And O'Connell averaged 12 and was that,
and was a sniper.
Yes.
So that's tough, and I don't want to like underrate those losses, but on paper, this team has so much talent. They're good defensively. They added guys who can shoot.
Yeah.
So I think the top 10 hype is justified. I think they're like fringe top 10. I don't think they're like 5 or 6, but
no, but I'm now beginning to walk back on certain teams, so like might as well, you know.
What teams?
What
teams are you walking?
I can understand. I mean, I've like begun to talk myself out of Kansas. Mm-hmm. I can understand the skepticism, obviously, with Duke. Baylor has injuries they're gonna have to sort through. Plus, you're banking on guys return from injuries.
Arkansas.
No, I'm never coming down from Arkansas.
Okay.
Arkansas and Creighton, I will not come down from. They can both be 18-10 by like February, and I will still think good things.
Arkansas is Arkansas.
I can understand why.
This is a tangent, but Arkansas they're not going to play like a top 7 team until they like need to, you know. Like I think Muss knows how to peak at the right time, you know. Yeah. So I think early they could really struggle, but they'll end up being really good. Yeah. So
I'm just excited for Arkansas Creighton in the Maui Invitational.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. It's not a crazy tangent. It ties in a little bit.
Yeah, but it's just going to be an awesome feast week.
Yeah. Creighton, good.
Creighton, very good.
End of
sentence. Period.
There you go. Okay. Villanova.
So many questions.
Boy. All right, I got takes on Villanova, man. You lose Jay Wright, Hall of Fame head coach, one of the best to ever do it. You bring in Kyle Neptune, longtime assistant, who made Fordham and like for Fordham to be is like that's good for them, I guess.
That was so good.
No matter what, though, it's a massive downgraded head coach, and that's not taking anything away from Kyle Neptune. I'm sure he'll be good. I don't think Jay Wright would leave this program with somebody who wasn't capable of leading them in a good direction, but it doesn't matter. Massive downgraded head coach. Cam Whitmore is him, bro. Mm-hmm. I hate boiling down, you know, scouting players to just like, oh, that was sick. But that's kind of what I ended up doing. Like when people talk, it's too early to talk about draft stuff, but when people talk about the draft, I feel like a lot of times people just talk themselves in circles when it's like, if you just apply like Occam's razor, it's like that guy's really good at basketball. That's what happened with Benedict Mathurin last year, where it was like, he doesn't really have a handle. Yeah, but he can shoot, and he is a freak athlete, and he's going to be nasty. Oh, and look, he's cooking for the Pacers right now. Mm-hmm. I feel the same way about Cam Whitmore. where it's like, just on a very basic level, you watch him and it's like, that was awesome. He's awesome at basketball. But as awesome as Cam Whitmore is at basketball, he has this thumb injury that's going to keep him out. There's no timetable.
Undisclosed time.
No timetable on his return. That's bad.
Yes.
That's concerning.
Indeed.
Plus, you have
Justin Moore coming back from an Achilles injury with an
from a ruptured Achilles, and you're telling me he's going to be like, all systems are go in January? Like, no, probably not. It's a really tough injury to come back from. So right off the bat, your two best players are going to miss potentially a significant amount of time.
Under a first-year head coach.
Under a first-year head coach.
With
and then you have Mark Armstrong. Wow, can't speak. True freshman point guard. He's gonna be good, right? But we're talking about a Villanova team that for basically a decade has had this unbroken line of insanely talented veteran guards, right? You go from Archie Diacono to Brunson to Colin Gillespie.
Yeah.
That's basically 10 years of like insanely high level point guard play. Mm-hmm. And now you're like, all right, true freshmen, pick it up where they left off. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot. The front court, I mean, Slater, Dixon.
You know what you're getting at least.
You know what you're getting, but like Kalkbrenner is going to feast against them. Sorry.
Sanogo's
going to feast against them. Fremantle and Nunji are going to feast against them. They're experienced, and that's good. They know the system, but they're not. It's not like a front court that's going to wow you, I don't think.
Yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, and there's concerns about depth, but you figure these guys are going to.
That was my next thing, was like the depth concerns.
Yeah.
Too.
Is Archie Diacono your sixth guy?
I hope not.
It has to be. Is it Longino? Like,
and I don't mean to, like, this has all been like very negative on Villanova.
Once they get back, like once Whitmore returns, I worry less about this team. Yeah. Obviously, for obvious reasons.
Right. This is I don't mean to be like totally a downer on Villanova. It's just they're definitely getting this like Final Four bump, this like reputation bump, when I think there's a lot of things that could totally derail their season.
You really think they're getting a Final Four bump?
It's the type of thing where like we just saw them in the Final Four, so it's like, oh yeah, Villanova.
I guess the same thing could be equated to Duke, so that's fair.
Yeah. I think they'll be good. They're not going to be 30-8 though, like they were last year. There's a world where this team finishes like fourth in the Big East. There really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Say something positive about Villanova. I've been saying a lot of negative things. I really like Cam.
Armstrong is really good for a freshman point guard.
Yes. Yeah.
He will be able to produce right away. So like that, it's going to take time. All things do, but he is ready to have the ball in his hands for a large amount of time.
Mm-hmm. And Whitmore, when he's back, he's going to be awesome.
He's going to have like 18 a game.
He's
night in and night out. It's too good.
There's a world where he wins Big East Player of the Year.
He's a human highlight reel. Yeah. He's going to have to get back quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
Yeah. But Villanova, it's the ultimate like culture play where it's like, how far can that take you? How far can like just being Villanova get you? You know? Because some of that will play in, I think, but I just have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions about Villanova. That's all it is. All right. UConn, in the Dan Hurley era, have accomplished not a lot. But Sanogo's back, preseason Big East Player of the Year. Yep. You got Jordan Hawkins, who could take a jump. Andre Jackson's a really good playmaker who should help you out. There's a lot of good pieces on this team. You have some freshmen who I think will contribute right away in the front court. So I like UConn. I really do.
Really?
I had to take on them in the episode that will follow this one. The one big thing for UConn will be like is Tristan Newton from East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
How much can he replace RJ Cole? Because RJ Cole was awesome. Like he gave you 15 points a game, was super reliable at the one, all Big East first team player. And you also lose Tyrese Martin to the NBA draft. Mm-hmm. He's another guy who was like great playmaker, could rebound well, like did a lot of things for you. That's a great backcourt that you're losing. And you're hoping like Tristan Newton can offset some of that. You're hoping Jordan Hawkins takes that jump into being like a scorer, because the flashes he showed were really promising. It's just like, can he do it consistently?
Yeah. The Naheem Aline transfer is so big.
I mean, just he's a shooter, man.
Yeah, but like it spaces the floor for Sonogo, right? Like you can't really. I mean, teams are going to try and double him, but if you, I mean, they have so many shooters, right?
Yeah,
or just like generally enough guys who can knock down shots from the perimeter that they're going to create space for Sonogo inside, and he's going to be night in and night out absurd. So
yeah, I think that's the correct build for a team like this. I think it's sort of what Michigan has done just around Dickinson with shooting. I think with a guy like Sonogo, like they have Alex Caravan, who's a freshman. He's a shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they have guys who can shoot, and that's something you need with a big who you want to be dominant.
And I don't know if it's Calcaterra or Calcaterra too from San Diego State, but
yes.
So
yeah,
and Jay Wright's gone. The Big East is up for grabs, right? Anybody's no, it really is. Like it's anybody's. It's anybody's to lose. And while I think Creighton is a cut above the rest, there's a world where this UConn team can absolutely compete.
Yeah. I think I might be higher on UConn than consensus. I think I might be. I just like
the pieces.
I like the pieces. It's easy for me to see the path to them being good.
Okay.
So, yeah, I like UConn. I'll say
fair.
I like UConn. I still picked them. I'm tempted to pick them over Villanova, but just because of like the way our top 25 shook out, I just can't like logically do that. But I want to. I like kind of want to.
Okay.
So
well, it's good you have that on record at least.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on the record. I want to put UConn over Villanova. I just can't.
Because of conflicts.
Yeah, there are conflicts with our top 25 that prevent me from doing that. But if given the chance, again, I probably would.
Doing a mid-season top 25 hypothetically.
Yeah. Xavier. Sean Miller's back.
Yes.
Matt Norlander has him as the top 15 team in the country.
Such a take.
That's a take. Do you think that's a legitimate ceiling for Xavier, though? Do you think they could be that good?
Fremantle and Nunge are so good. Like, yeah. Like, I really think there's going to be a lot of parity this year. There's a lot of, again, like, I don't know what I said on this episode of the Pac-12 one, but so much top-end talent was left last year that, like, outside of, I'd say, the top 5, like, in the preseason, that's excluding Kansas a little bit, there's so many question marks about these top teams. And I think you tweeted that, right? Like, it's just like this top 10 really is like, there's 5 teams and the rest are like, yeah, this makes sense because of roster construction, but like, here's 1, 2, 3 holes we can poke in this, you know?
Yeah. My tweet was like, does anyone else feel like there aren't 10 teams deserving of being called the top 10 team in the country? That's kind of how I feel, but.
Because on paper, this Xavier team could absolutely finish top 2 in the conference. And after their play on the back end of last year, right? And so, listen, Scruggs is gone, and I think that can't be understated. But Fremantle and Nunge are just going to absolutely work opposing courts. Colby Jones, right? Like he shot 29% from 3. That's not ideal, but did average 12 points a game, 7 rebounds, second leading rebounder.
Plus was like second in assists.
Yeah, and you're projecting again. You're projecting leaps, right? From like Kunkel. Desmond Claude has gotten like a lot of hype, I feel like, as a freshman.
We have Sully Boom.
You do.
Who's nasty.
He is.
19 points a game, 37% from 3.
UTEP.
From UTEP.
Shout out UTEP.
Shout out UTEP. Yeah, we don't get to shout out UTEP a lot. Shout out UTEP.
Shout out UTEP. I just
It's just like they have the talent for sure, right?
They
have
do.
the talent.
They really do.
They do. Like on paper, this team could be really, really good. It's just like the last couple seasons, Xavier should have been really good, and they just fell apart. So it's how much can Sean Miller fix that? How much can he fix the late season collapse? And I think in a conference that's like pretty up for grabs, I like his chances of not totally collapsing. So
for sure.
Yeah. Xavier, good. End of story. Xavier, good.
Is that the second or third team we've said about?
Yeah.
We did not end that with Villanova. I know.
Yeah.
They are good though.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of bashed Villanova for like 4 or 5 minutes there. Oh.
I kind of think they need it though.
Okay. That's fair.
I think they get I don't think people are asking enough questions about them.
They're not getting enough flack.
I just don't think people are asking enough questions about them, so I'm going to be the one to ask the questions.
Like that's your calling card.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to ask the questions, man.
Right.
All right, let's move on to Providence, the defending Big East champions.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 in luck rating.
Not this again.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the
Friar faithful were at war whenever that stat was brought up.
Yeah, the luck thing is funny. Like, it's funny to bring up as like, oh, they're the luckiest team in the country, but also I don't think it gives nearly enough credit to like Ed Cooley's coaching in late game situations. They pulled out a lot of close wins, and that's not an accident, I don't think. Like, to some extent, there's some, a timely shot here and there, a timely turnover, some things swing your way that you don't expect to every time. But there is the constant of like Ed Cooley is winning a lot of games.
Yeah.
And they made the Sweet 16. I think they backed it up to an extent. They beat South Dakota State, who's one of the best offensive teams in the country.
And everyone and their mother picked SCSU.
I did. I'll say it.
I did too. Like, I don't know. I did not want to see Providence advance. I won't lie.
Yeah, the big thing with Providence is you have Jared Bynum back.
So huge.
Yeah. And you bring in Bryce Hopkins from
Bryce
Kentucky.
Hopkins.
Yeah.
It's just
So,
you're starting 3 transfers, right? You assume you're going to start Hopkins. You probably start locking. You're going to start locking Carter, right?
Yeah.
And so
they lost all 5 starters from last year.
You did. So
that's not great.
No. Crosswell, it's going to be so tough to replace the production of Nate Watson. That's a tall task for anybody.
Yeah.
But Bynum's here. He's got to be a bigger playmaker. He's got to score the rock more. He's got to score. He's got to play make. And Bryce Hopkins, the flashes that we saw at Kentucky have to become into the full purview now.
I'm very comfortable saying this team is not going to win the Big East.
I can't really
if it's them, if I get to choose between Providence or one of the other 4 teams that we've talked about, I'm taking one of the other 4 every single time.
Well, yeah.
They're good. They are.
No, but again, so many of these conferences, the way they've kind of shaked out, it's been like 3-4 tiers within them. And Providence feels like the upper echelon of the middle tier in the Big East. And maybe that assessment's wrong, but
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I think that's fair. I mean, we've seen what Ed Cooley just makes adjustments. He makes it work.
He does.
It's going to be the Bynum and it's going to be the Bynum and Hopkins show.
Yeah.
So.
And Carter's got to produce.
Yeah, it's just tough from a continuity perspective to lose all 5 starters.
Also, maybe I'm thinking too much. Maybe I'm leaning into this too much, but starting a backcourt that is 5'10", 6'3", 6'3" is a little bit, just defensively, a little bit worrisome. But maybe I'm overreacting there.
Yeah, I don't know. You can definitely – there's things to nitpick for sure.
That's just like a size thing I'm kind of worried about. But
yeah. I just don't see with the guys that they have this year, I think it's going to be a lot harder to win all those close games that they won last year.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some regression as far as that goes, but I don't think they'll be fine. They'll be okay.
They're the epitome of
solid middle tier Big East team. There you go. All right. Seton Hall is very interesting.
They are.
You're bringing Sheehan Holloway, and it's always fun to bring in the coach to his alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun. This will be a really good defensive team. That's kind of what I'm leaning on. I think we'll see what Kadary Richmond can do. I mean, having a 6'6" lead guard, that's fun.
A ton of fun.
Yeah. But you lose, I mean, Jared Rhoden and Bryce Aiken.
Yeah.
From a scoring perspective, that's tough to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Alamir Dawes from Clemson. It's a nice transfer pickup.
Good pickup in the backcourt. Casey and
Defo from St.
You think
Peter's.
he's gonna? Are you okay? Like immediately putting him in Big East Defensive Player of the Year contention? I know it's pretty much almost locked up that it's Kalkbrenner again, but
I'm comfortable putting him there because Shaheen Holloway will know how to maximize him defensively as well, and I think that benefits him a lot.
It does.
I'm
excited to see how Femi Odokala does. Like I know he's kind of projected lower on the depth chart according to the almanac, but
yeah,
you gotta figure he's gonna be leaned on by Holloway, especially because he can add that scoring punch.
Yeah,
and creation.
I agree. Alamir Dawes is really the only shooter.
Yeah, and he was just kind of all over the map at Clemson.
Yeah,
you know?
So they have length though, like all over. They can be really, really good defensively, and that's gonna get them pretty far, I think.
Transfers are really good. Dre Davis is gonna see an uptick, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shaheen Holloway's teams, like his St. Peter's teams too, were never great offensively either.
No, and because I was talking to somebody who actually watched St. Peter's basketball because he grew up in that area, and so he was just he said it was miraculous to see this offensive turnaround and just how ugly some of those basketball games were earlier in the year. Yeah, I mean this team really is just kind of leaning on whether or not all of these guys can step up offensively because they are going to be able to compete on the defensive side of the ball, and that's going to keep them in games.
Yeah.
They
have a lot of athleticism, a lot of length.
You're kind of, you really are just kind of combining a bunch of 7 to 11 points per game scorers over their career, and then hoping Richmond is this guy that is going to lead them.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited to see it though. I think
they're scary defensively.
They should go well. He's a great coach.
Right. We know that for a fact. The way he was able to game plan for a bunch of teams that
on quick turnaround
should have beaten the brakes off of St. Peter's. Phenomenal coach. This is a team they have length, they have athleticism, they're switchable on defense. That's going to be the thing to keep them in games, and then you just hope that somebody's going to score. Please, somebody, anybody. Here's a really intriguing team, the Butler Bulldogs. Thad Matta's back. I don't really know what to do with that, honestly. I see a lot of people being like, Thad Matta's back. He's going to turn around this team in one off season, which to his credit did bring in a lot of transfers. This transfer class is good.
Yeah.
But some of the dialogue about Thad Matta coming back is acting like he's the second coming of John Wooden. And he's a great coach, don't get me wrong, but some of the expectations are maybe a little premature. I don't know.
Well, they're going to have a Big East Defensive Player of the Year contender, Manny Bates.
Manny Bates is awesome.
He's going to challenge Kalkbrenner. He finally got out of Raleigh. We'll see what happens.
Manny Bates is awesome.
Ali from Akron has produced, man.
Yeah.
He has produced in the MAC. So could absolutely translate. I don't know how many touches Matta's going to look to get him. And I don't know, Eric Hunter Jr. is kind of that big kind of question, right? I mean, he's a proven guard at Purdue, but 2 assists, man, that is just not it.
He's really a shooter. That's kind of what he's going to be for them.
Yeah, but if he's kind of pegged as your point guard, no?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the issue. Who's making plays? I mean, Chuck Harris,
they're still great. He's like a combo guard though, right? Is he not? Or
they basically have 2 combo guards. Yeah, over there.
Okay, so then, also Jalen Thomas is out, I think too, right? The 6'10" center. Yeah, so that's a little bit tough for the season starting, but I don't know. They're going to be, again, they're one of these teams that is really good defense, and I get why people are kind of pegging them as sleepers, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The fact is, Thad Matta's, I think he's a ceiling raiser.
He is, and Ollie and Hunter are both like 39, or they're both 40 plus. They're 40+% shooters from deep. That is huge.
That is huge, absolutely.
So there's a world where this team climbs. Like this middle of the pack, anybody could beat anybody.
Yeah, I see them as pretty solidly middle of the pack. Like they were really bad shooting team last year. They've improved that, at least on paper. Manny Bates, like NC State's defense just completely fell off a cliff once he left.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like this is going to sound like a really extreme example, but he's like the type of transformative defender to me that in the NBA that like a Rudy Gobert is. Where like just having him completely changes your defense. Completely. Like it's more than just having, one good individual defender. Like the way that you're able to defend with him there is huge. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of my take.
That's Butler.
Yeah, that's Butler. We'll see. People really like them as a sleeper. I don't know that I love them as a sleeper, but this middle of the pack is very exploitable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
St. John's.
Oh, this is gonna be so much fun. Watching, oh my gosh, those Corbello, those like little Corbello clips came up on my timeline the other day. Yeah. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Good or bad, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. The Posh Alexander, Andre Corbello experiment is going to be something.
Yeah. It's going to be like it could explode in a fiery disaster, which will still be fun. Or they'll be like running up and down the court and be really awesome. Like it'll work somehow.
Yeah.
I do think like I think the outcomes in which this is really successful are much less likely than the outcomes where it's like
it implodes.
Yeah.
I'm worried about like the starting lineup's ability to shoot the ball. Like they do have some bench pieces that have shown an ability to stretch the floor, but like yikes. I mean, again, like this is the most like overused stat ever, but like Alexander and Corbello combined to shoot less than 40% from three last season.
That's a disaster.
Like, dude, like it's so hilarious.
That's so bad.
It's so hilarious. But
it's not like that's a one-off for Corbello either. He's like a career 16% three-point shooter.
Yeah, he's a bad shooter. But like
he's a bad shooter.
But Alexander and Corbello are just such good playmakers that oh my goodness.
So you have David Jones from DePaul.
Yeah.
Who was good. He was good for DePaul last year.
He was. 14.5 and 7. Yeah.
Like a legitimate bright spot for a DePaul team that was like not good. Competitive.
They really are just so reliant on whether Alexander and Corbello can knock down a couple shots from the perimeter, but also just the turnovers. They have to limit those.
Yeah. Because that was the other problem with Corbello that really tanked his season last year was he was turning the ball over so much. So much.
Yeah. They'll be good defensively. Posh Alexander, like
Corbello, not so much, but Posh Alexander will be good.
Correct. But like Alexander, like I'm just thinking about like if you made like an all defensive team from the Big East, where would you stack that? I know that's a random question, but where would you stack that against other conferences? Like
against other conferences?
You have Manny Bates, like a 5, right? Like you have Ndefo, Alexander, Kalkbrenner,
Bates,
and I'll try to come up with the 5th guy on the fly. But like, so like that quartet, you know? Sanogo? Yeah, sure. Like, obviously that wouldn't work in an actual game, but yeah. Like, I guess Richmond almost had 2 steals a game, right?
That's a lot of really good defenders. I think that does stack up with other conferences. But yeah, the St. John's experiment, they will be fun to watch.
I'm so excited. It's just, St. John's basketball.
What do you think their like best case scenario? Let's say this backcourt is awesome and, Jones is contributing and like, what do you think the the ceiling for them is?
Well, if they're contributing, if they're like producing really well, that means somebody else is lagging in the like top 4, and I don't think it'll be. I don't know, 5. Like the ceiling could be like theoretically, if like magic occurs, right? They conjure up something. 3, like 4.
Yeah,
maybe push 3. Although I find that hard.
Do you think if we're projecting forward, do you think this is a tournament team?
I'm not sure about that.
They're fringe for me.
Yeah. I'd like to see them in the tournament.
Yeah. I didn't mention this for Butler, but I think they could sneak in for sure.
It's a Big East. They have so much clout, and rightfully so.
Yeah. They are the basketball conference.
Correct. So, and the Big Ten's not going to have as many bids, so they're not going to steal at-larges, you know? So.
That's true. Yeah.
That's going to be a big one. Their non-conference is not great as I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you host Nebraska in the Gavitt games, right? You'll play
I'm okay with that. If that's what it takes to get this backcourt like figured out.
Yeah, that's fine. But like if terms of like you come down, you're a bubble team and you're looking at your non-conference slate and your best game is Florida State.
Yeah.
Which they're gonna play a lot of ranked teams in Big East play, granted.
Mm-hmm.
But your best game is Florida State and then like Iowa State, Richmond.
Let's say this team finishes like 8th or 9th in the Big East, just hypothetically.
That probably doesn't get them in. I mean, it doesn't get them in, but
I was going to say, I think they're probably, of all of the Power 6 conferences, they would be the most fun 8th or 9th place team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think Rutgers could be really fun.
Oh, wait. Well, it's tough, right? Like they're okay, I'm a big Rutgers guy. I made that very clear in an episode.
Yeah.
Later.
Well, Rutgers 8th place would be like kind of middle
of the Big Ten, which isn't fair.
This would be more like
if we're equating it, right? Like it would have to be like 10th in the Big Ten and 10th in the ACC. And 11th.
If we're scaling it, if they're bottom of the conference, they're one of the most fun bottom of the conference teams.
Easily.
Yes.
Although I am partial to the chaos of Boo Booey and Chase Audige.
Sure. We're going to get some chaos with St. John's too.
Oh my gosh. I'd like to see them play each other. Do you know how crazy that game would be?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It would be so chaotic.
I've been thinking about matchups that I really want to see. Like, I want to see Indiana, Virginia, because Indiana has a bunch of players that are just going to sit in the paint.
Against the pack line?
Yeah, against the pack line. Like, they don't have a ton of shooters to, like, exploit the pack line. So I'd want to see what.
Now, Tamar Bates and Miller Kopp.
Miller Kopp never gets the ball for some reason. He's disrespected.
Primal. He's going to get the ball.
He's a primal. That's facts.
Primal.
All right, Marquette. Shaka Smart. You lose Lewis and Morcell, who are your two best players. Kolek's a dog, but
going to play basketball games this year.
They're going to be like competitive. They're going to like cover a lot of spreads, but they're not going to win a lot of games.
It's like a take.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kolek. I don't know what else to say.
Kolek is like fun.
It's a lot of fun. What do you mean?
He's gonna talk his talk, but
exactly.
He's also not. It's one thing when like there's somebody who talks their talk and is scoring like 15 points a game and shooting like 38% from three. It's another thing when somebody's talking their talk and they're shooting 28% from three and only scoring 6, which is what Kolek did last year. So.
Hey, I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's Marquette. I don't.
Another good defensive team.
Yeah.
Again, like the scoring.
Defensively, wondering about the offensive production.
I mean, Justin Lewis averaged like 18 points a game last year. Yeah, he was nasty. I don't remember if he was. There were only 58 picks in last year's draft, and I can't remember if he was like just undrafted. I think he might have been like the best prospect that went undrafted, honestly.
I'll find out.
Yeah. I can't totally remember if he was like the 58th pick or if he was like at the top of the board
I don't think he was.
when the draft ended. Yeah.
No. He was
not drafted.
No, because Jabari Walker snuck in at 57.
Oh, yeah.
And then Hugo Basson was the last pick. Indeed.
Marquette will be
They'll be
yeah. I mean, they
bring
back basically no scoring is
Correct.
what they bring back.
But they're not worse than the 2 worst teams in the conference, which is a plus.
Do you think they could be?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay, let's move on to those teams. Let's talk about Georgetown. Is this Patrick Ewing's last season?
Yes.
Yes, you think so? I think that's it. They got Wahab back from Maryland.
They did.
He's just going back and forth.
What an interesting cycle, you know? Never really left the area, did he?
No. Big DMV guy.
Big DMV guy.
Yeah. He was like, there were games where he was like legitimately good for Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So like I get that's a plus. Like he's been with Georgetown before. Mm-hmm. We effectively traded him for Donald Carey.
Do you think you won that trade?
Yes, I think we won that trade. Absolutely.
That's a lot, doesn't it?
Donald Carey scored 13 points a game and is like a career 39% shooter or something like that. So yeah, I think we won the trade.
All right.
So yeah.
They're starting so many transfers.
Yeah. Yeah, looking up and down the transfer list, Maryland, Arizona State, LSU. Where did Akuka Cook come from?
What?
Where did Akuka Cook come from?
UConn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Primo Spears from Duquesne.
Yep. And Brandon Murray's you've got to project his leap, I think. No?
I'm fine with that. Honestly. He was part of the mass exodus from LSU.
Yeah, he was all SEC freshman, right?
Yeah.
Last year,
this team, they can only get better.
Yeah,
they went 0-19 in the Big East last year.
It literally can't get worse.
It can't. It really can't. I do think, call me crazy, I think there is a world where they are better than Marquette.
The offensive upside, I see it more here than I do with Marquette.
I agree. Like if Wahab can stay on the floor and Akuka Cook, like he's good.
We just got to have more production, but yeah.
Yeah. I think their ceiling is higher than Marquette. I'll say it.
Okay.
I'll say it. That's not like a lofty thing to say, to be like their ceiling is 9th place in the conference. But yeah, I think they have more scoring, I think, on paper than Marquette does.
They have more options, I feel like. More options I'm at least confident in. Yeah.
The question is like, how much more does Shaka Smart get you from a coaching perspective than Patrick Ewing? And the answer is probably a lot.
A lot. But
yeah,
Brandon Murray is probably the most talented player on those rosters. So
yes.
And he's he's a budding star, or he's projected to be a budding star. So
maybe I'll sneak that into my Big East projections of Georgetown above Marquette.
That's fair.
Just to break consensus a little bit.
Yeah. Just to do it.
Yeah. All right, last team, DePaul.
We really talked about everybody?
Yeah, there's only 11 teams.
That's fair. It just didn't feel like 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nah.
Meh? That's your answer?
DePaul's whatever to me.
I don't know. Spacing the floor is obviously semi-concerned, but Emoji Gibson, great pickup from Oklahoma. I know they're excited about Caleb Murphy playing the 1. He's definitely played with a bunch of talented guys growing up in grassroots. So
yeah, it's a lot of upperclassmen on this team.
Yeah, and I don't know, Javon Johnson, right? He's gonna see more minutes than 24 last year. He's gonna be that starting wing for them.
Yeah.
didn't shoot well from 3 last season, and I just don't know if this roster is going to be able to.
Right.
Gibson kind of alleviates some of that concern,
Yeah.
but like Murphy's not a good shooter.
Murphy's not a shooter at all.
No.
And your front court doesn't shoot either.
Correct. So if you're bringing Jalen Terry off the bench, 32% is not going to cut it.
No, probably not. When you're just looking like, what did the team lose? What did they bring in? They brought in like a lot of transfers, but they lost Javon Freeman-Liberty, who was
David Jones.
insane for them.
And David Jones. You lost 36 points between 2 players.
Yeah. And I think that absolutely outweighs what they brought in. So
it's a lot. It's tough to.
They'll be competitive. I honestly think among the bottom 3, I could see them finishing in really any order.
They could. Yeah.
Like I could see a world where this DePaul team is like not horrendous. Bad, but not horrendous.
None of these teams are horrendous to me. There are, like, to me, this feels, I mean, the Big East, like the Big 12, is just going to beat up on itself, right? They're just going to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
And even though, like, in the Big 12, you have the bottom 4 whatever teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even then, like, Oklahoma's going to steal a couple games. Like, I don't think it's great. Even if you take Marquette, Georgetown, DePaul, half-face, like, they're going to make these teams work for it. So,
yeah, it's just probably not that great of a team. I mean, we can go I know. Let's go through this. Let's end with this. So I want to go through Brian Ralph's 5 bold predictions for the Big East.
Okay.
Let's see if we agree with them. All right, number 1, Cam Whitmore, Big East Player of the Year.
Not if he doesn't start playing by December.
Yes, he's good enough to do that, though.
Absolutely. Yes, but I think it's
the lack of a timeline definitely hurts the take.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Butler finishes in the top half of the league.
So that has to be 5. It has to.
Yes.
Because it can't be 6.
Right. 6 is like straight up middle.
Yep.
That's a little high.
Yes. I just don't.
You have to beat out Seton Hall and Providence for that.
Yeah. And even St. John's to a certain degree.
Right. Yeah, if they're playing really well. Yeah, I'd probably disagree. I like Manny Bates a lot, like I've said, but
yeah. It's a fine team.
All right. St. John's has the worst 3-point shooting of any high major team. I mean, they kind of already do.
Yeah, I like it. That's a great take.
Yeah.
It could absolutely happen.
Could be really bad.
I really would have liked a bold take of like Andre Curbelo shoots single digits from 3. That's a bold take to me.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine he's like 9.7% from 3?
That'd be really funny.
Even then, you know what? Like 15% or lower. What a take. That would
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about Iowa State's Gabe Coucher shooting in the teens, and now we're talking about Andre Curbelo shooting single digits.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. That one doesn't seem far off.
DePaul returns to the conference's basement.
DePaul what?
Returns to the conference's basement.
Yeah.
Feasible.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, and then there's a shared regular season title. No. Absolutely not. Creighton is blowing the doors off every other team.
Yes.
I'm willing to hop on the Creighton train with you.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm absolutely there with you.
I'm buying a shirt.
Yeah.
Shout out. If home field has something, I'm getting something from home field. If not, I guess Nike's getting my money. But
I think we forgot to do this for Pac-12, but do you want to just go through your order of the Big East?
Yeah, I've got to sort this out in my head right now, but sure.
Mine's definitely going to change, but I'll go maybe some slight changes, but here's what I have so far.
Okay.
Creighton.
Same.
Villanova because I have to, but I want to pick UConn. But Villanova, UConn, Xavier, Providence, Butler, Seton Hall, St. John's, Marquette, Georgetown, DePaul.
I don't think mine's different other than I'd flip Georgetown and Marquette, I think.
You have Georgetown at 9 and Marquette at 10.
Yeah, I'm really buying into Murray.
Okay.
Translating this year.
Okay. I might actually do that with you. Do you have St. John's at 8 as well? Even
Yeah, I
though
like St. John's. I like St. John's on the bubble perpetually the entire year.
Yes.
Okay.
That seems only right for the chaos that they're going to
really
produce.
Does. And I don't know if I'm sold on Providence. I like Bynum, so
yeah,
I'm sold on Bynum and like him leading a team more than I am. Like although Kadari Richmond's going to be fun.
Yeah. With those teams, like with Seton Hall and with Seton Hall, Providence, and Butler, I think I buy into the coach more than I do any player on their team.
That's a fair assessment.
For all three of them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the basement to me are also interchangeable.
St. John's is in their own like little unique tier where they could really be anything.
They're just St. John's.
They could be anything they want to be. Yeah, and then I think there's the clear bottom 3. There's St. John's just kind of like in the ether doing whatever St. John's is going to do.
There's the middle of the pack.
Yeah, there's this middle of the pack with like good defenses, good coaches, but like not a ton of scoring.
Yep.
And then there's Xavier, UConn, Villanova, maybe in their own tier, and then Creighton.
The Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays. Go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.
One of the best logos in college basketball.
This is a Blue Jays support pod.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it. We're done.
Amazing.
We're done with all our conference previews. That's all.
It is.
How are we feeling? We feeling good about it?
I'm so excited for the season.
Yeah.
I legitimately can't wait. The 7th is going to be so fun.
Yeah. Now we can, we're going to keep talking about college basketball, but now we can talk about it and watch college basketball.
I know.
Which is great.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening on YouTube and Spotify. Sure to give a like to the video, subscribe to the channel, rate us 5 stars, follow the podcast, all that good stuff. We really appreciate the support that we have received so far, and we hope to keep growing this season.
Yes.
Sure to follow us at Jimmer Range Pod on really anything, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. We post pretty frequently. Our personal handles are at the bottom, at KHeiserCBB for me and at Cervantes P. Alex for Alex. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time.